guys, Marvin and Kid here, back again. Welcome back to the Opinion Spot? Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about the pause. Welcome back to the Opinion Spot. And today, guys, on the list, we're bringing you another, this is actually a recommendation list, but it's also just a list for someone in the comic book industry that I love. Someone that it is a female. She's one of my favorite writers, and that person is none other than the talented, and I won't just throw around, but she is legendary, Gail Simone. Guys, I met Gail Simone for the first time in person back in 2017. It's been over 3 years now since I met her. We always communicated on Twitter and kind of caught a friendship there. But then meeting her at New York Comic Con 2017, and then the following year meeting her again, and her shouting me out, and always just being a fan of mine and things like that. And then of course 2019, even before that, getting the honor of her saying that I'm not just a friend, but I am more.
They call me family. They call me family, damn it.
That's right, I'm family. Yeah, you saw it. You saw it right there. That was me and Gail at New York Comic Con 2019, and she even said it. I'm family. You have no idea how humbling that is, guys, for a comic fan like me, and for someone that I love. When you have somebody who you admire and kind of look as a hero say that about you, it does something to you. It's like, hey, like I'm welcome. And her husband Scott is just funny as hell, and he's a good dude too. So it is just a talent to read her. I am a loyalist, and I will admit that sometimes maybe my loyalty maybe blinds me, but not too much blind me. Like, I'll say, well, this was good, but not her best. I'm not one of those guys that be like, oh, that was all good. It's all good. No, I'm not like that. But she appreciates my honesty, and with guys like me and Blue Goblin and other people who are big fans of hers and love her like that, it's a blessing. It's a real blessing. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give you a recommendation list of 8 Gail Simone comic series that I recommend that are must read, in my opinion. Hence why this is on the Opinion Spot. So we're gonna go 1. We're just gonna go 1 to. We're gonna go 1 to 8. Matter of fact, we're gonna go backwards. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I meant we're gonna go backwards. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna start off with number 8 being 7 Days. 7 Days is the current series she is writing now, under Lion Forge Comics. She's also has a big title under Lion Forge. She's like the head creative operator, I believe, something like that, under Lion Forge. I forget but she's got a big duty there. And 7 Days is a very interesting comic. I remember when she was promoting it, and at last year's New York Comic Con she talked about it. And 7 Days is a comic basically where she has taken the heroes of the Lion Forge, universe, like one of my favorite, Excel. He's the speedster of that universe, and other characters. I'm not gonna mention all of them, but basically, alien stranger comes down to Earth and basically says, you have 7 days to leave the planet, and if you don't leave, I'm going to destroy it. And the heroes of this universe are trying everything they can to stop this all-powerful alien being from accomplishing this. It's really good. As much as Gail does, and as you all know, Gail, she takes characters that may have a somewhat of following and makes them into megastars. She takes those lesser known heroes and makes them megastars. She takes them in directions that are well deserved. And right now, as of right now, is up to issue 5 in the series. Or no, 6. Excuse me. I think it's 6. And it is really good. It's tight knit. You get to if you have read any of the Lionforge characters, you are kind of familiar with them. If you're not, she gives you enough familiarity with the characters that you can say, okay, I understand what this character is. It's really good, and I do recommend it. Is currently what she is writing now, so I do recommend it. That's number 8. Number 7 on the list is Clean Room. Clean Room is Gail's first horror comic, pretty much. When I heard Gail was writing a horror comic, I was like, okay, I'm down. The synopsis of Clean Room is kind of based on a cult, pretty much. That's the whole premise of it. It's based on a cult. And this is another thing I talked about when I got my issue number 1 of Clean Room signed by her back in 3 years ago. I asked her, like, how did you come up with this? Like, what? And she basically explained to me how she came up with it. Gail lives in Oregon. A lot of comic creators live in Oregon. I've never been to Oregon, but I would love to go to Oregon. It just seems like a really nice place to go. But having said that, as nice as it is, she told me that Oregon is one of the few states in the United States that has the highest state that has cults. Like it has the most cults in all of the United States. That's crazy. Now I've seen documentaries on cults and it's just that mentality of like you following this person that you look at as a messiah and you do anything for that. That's crazy to me. Like, but she came up with that idea, and the horror element of Clean Room also gets you. It's like, yo, what the hell? And you can find this in trades, but it is crazy just how deep and psychological, as not just meant as physical as it gets, and the artwork around it as well is just crazy. Just the first panel of this comic is nuts. I gotta spoil this for you. The first panel in the first issue, dude hits a child with his car, and then the witnesses see it and they beat the living shit out of him, and it's like, oh my god. But it gets there. It goes deep. It's like Twilight Zone mixed with Tales from the Dark Side. It's crazy. It is sick. But if you're a fan of horror and you love horror comics, trust me, you'll love this from Gail. She nails it. She nailed this. I'm dead serious about this. Number 6 on the list is her Domino series. When Gail had admitted that she was coming back to write something for Marvel, I had talked to Gail for a long time about characters she would love to write. She came back with me on Twitter with these characters, one of them being Spider-Man. And I have always said, no doubt about it, I have said, someday I hope to see a writer who happens to be female writing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, someday. Before I'm old and gray, I want to see that. And Gail has she said Spider-Man, she wanted to write Iron Fist, she wanted to write the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and she got to write Spider-Man in her Domino series. Domino was far from a character that I thought she would write. Domino, Nina Thurman, as you all know, is the mercenary mutant who has everything goes in her favor. Probability goes in her favor. Quote unquote luck powers. She has kind of the same abilities as Longshot. She took over writing a Domino series. And prior to up to Gail writing her, Domino has always been, as me, classified as the angry mercenary that rolled with Cable, or she was the angry mercenary badass that was always in heat, always wanted to get some. And up until then, that's how it was. Excuse me. Look at all the different series that Domino's in. She was always the badass mercenary with the luck powers, but she was always horny as hell and wanted to get some. From when they relaunched X-Force with Colossus on the team, oh my god, was she in heat for Colossus. And even up until her, before that, prior to that, her and Wolverine getting it on. It was like, oh my god, like, Nina is just horny. Like, she just has to get some. But here, Gail took an approach of making Nina more than just the horny mercenary. You know, that's how I looked at it. She gave Gail more character of being, what is it like for Nina Thurman? What is it like for her? What is it like for her as a character? What is her life like? Here she is a mercenary, but she's got these luck powers. But then she took a point where, what happens when somebody shuts off those powers for a while? That was the first story arc. Her luck powers were shutting off. Now, Nina is a character where her powers are always on. They don't activate or work like, let's say, a Storm or a Cyclops or a Colossus or a Nightcrawler, you know, something like that, you know, or Kitty. No, her powers are always on. There's always on. It's not like she can shut that off. But what happens when she meets somebody who can kind of mess with that? And she wrote that first issue of showcasing that, and then up until then she had Nina form a team with the likes of Outlaw and people like. She took characters, once again, what Gail is famous for. She took characters that are not well known and she made more of them. What Gail does. She had Nina work with Shang-Chi. It was like, it was so cool. It was just so cool to see. She did the first series, then she did another series, and that was when Gail came back to write for Marvel. The last time I saw Gail write, she did a one-shot issue, I believe, of Savage Wolverine. She wrote that, and then of course before that she did Deadpool and things like that. But it was great to see Gail come back, and she did get to write Spider-Man because Spider-Man was in the second issue of her Domino run, so she got to fulfill something. But to me, she got to, but to me, not really, because it's like, yeah, you got to write him a little bit, Gail, but I want to see you write an ongoing series of Spider-Man. So hopefully the comic gods will praise me someday with that after this whole craziness ends. But yeah, indeed. Next on the list, number 5 is Crosswind. Crosswind, she and Cat Stagg, artist Cat Stagg, wrote. Cat Stagg did the artwork. Gail wrote it. I met Cat Stagg too. Wonderful lady. Just beautiful soul she is. Very nice. And she wrote it. She drew Crosswind. Crosswind is basically taking the idea of a hitman, and you could kind of say a homemaker, and flipping them, body swapping them. So it's basically like Freaky Friday, flipping a hitman into the body of a homemaker, mother and everything like that, and the mother in the body of the hitman. And it was really good. It was really good. The first, I guess you could say, season or series was pretty good. I think it was 8 issues. And Kat Stagg's artwork really captured Gail's writing very well. And it was just so much fun to do, so much fun to write, just to read. And not too long ago, Gail actually gave me a script of one of the issues, and it was interesting to see how, for me also as a comic fan, just see how a comic script is written, and I thought it was really good. And Gail gave that to me. It was fun. It was so much fun to write, to see her read. I keep saying like to read and to see Kat Stagg's artwork was great. I hope they come back with another part. I believe they will. I hope they do. I hope they come back together, because they're a good team. They're a good creative team. So yeah, definitely that. Moving on, number 4 on the list is Secret Six. Oh, Jesus Christ. Secret Six. Gail Simone writing this. You talk about taking characters that are somewhat lesser known or are looked at kind of as a joke in some ways, and making them better than they are, or even upping them. Read Gail Simone's Secret Six. What she did with the likes of, she loved writing Scandal Savage, Vandal Savage's daughter. What she did with Scandal Savage in this was just, it was like masterful. What she did with Thomas Blake, Catman, was brilliant. She made Thomas Blake more than what he appeared to be prior to her taking over. What she did with Bane. She gave Bane so much more character than what we know Bane for. Yes, Bane is always going to be known as the guy who broke the bat, the tactician, everything like that. I know a lot of people, I've seen it, that said, yeah, he may have did that, but he didn't fight Batman head on. He had to weaken Batman to, some would say, but that's tactical. And in some ways, we'll always say, well, that also showed he respected Batman's prowess to weaken Batman to the point where, so there's 50-50 with that. But Gail really did so much more with Bane that it was like, this is kind of how I want Bane to be written more often. That's saying a lot. She gave Bane more character than just the juiced up luchador, because he kind of looks like a luchador, but she gave him so much more. And that's just cool. That's amazing. And so much fun to see. The series ended, if I remember correctly, ended with the Secret Six getting arrested by the Justice League and everything like that. Bane had given all the members of the Secret Six Venom, I believe. It was like, yeah, because at that point, he was not using his Venom anymore as well. So it was a really good series she did. I could see Gail just had a lot of fun writing that series. Very good. Number 3 on the list, of course, is Gail's run of the she-devil herself, Red Sonja. I'm a huge Red Sonja fan, as much as I am a Conan fan. And Red Sonja first debuted in Conan. But when Conan went to Dark Horse and Red Sonja went to Dynamite, and now Conan is back with Marvel, Red Sonja's still with Dynamite. Gail came along, and boy did you could just see how much fun she had writing it. You can find her run in trades, as well as they just put out the whole run in an omnibus. It's a huge hardcover omnibus that I do recommend people to read. She also did a Red Sonja Conan, and she loves writing Conan as well. But in this run, she took Red Sonja back to kind of Red Sonja's roots, and it made you fall in love. If you were already a fan of Red Sonja, it made you fall more in love with the character that she wrote. When I heard she was writing that, I was like, I'm on board. When I had that on my pull list, toot sweet, and I picked up every issue. And then after Gail finished her run, Marjorie Bennett came along and wrote her run. And then when Marjorie Bennett finished, Amy Chun wrote her run. And both of those ladies did a great job in both of their runs. I'm not reading the current run now because I'm just gonna buy that in trade because I missed out on it. So, but from Gail's run up into Marjorie Bennett, no relation, to Amy Chun's run, it's just wow. It just showed where they stand, and just showed you the amount of people who took the time and effort to make Red Sonja. Gail just did a masterful job with her. One of my favorite issues, I believe it was in Red. I think it was Gail, when we kind of got to see a child Red Sonja. She took Red Sonja. We saw Red Sonja as a child, and it was just like, I think it was Gail. I could be wrong, but I was like, ooh, this is good stuff, you know. And it was not just me praising it. It was, of course, Blue Goblin, my boy Blue Goblin. You know, we were just loving Gail's run of Red Sonja. And I still want a new Red Sonja movie or series. I don't care. I just want a new Red Sonja because, to me, with all due respect, I do not want Brigitte Nielsen's movie to be the last movie for Red Sonja. Remember, there was going to be Rose McGowan was going to play Red Sonja, and I'll never forget that because she got in a freaking shape for this role. She was huge, and they dropped, and we never heard anything more. But Gail, you killed it on this role. Next up on the list, number 2, goes to her Birds of Prey run. Gail has gone on record many times on Twitter and said that they were going to cancel this. They were going to cancel Birds of Prey before she came on. There were a lot of people that seemed to hate Black Canary or something like that. I'm like, what? Who hates Black Canary? I love Dinah. Love her. And what Gail did with her run, putting to me, the trinity of the Birds of Prey. Dinah, Babs, another character she loves, and Helena. That's the trinity right there. When she came along, she was writing just Dove, I believe, and of course Lady Blackhawk. She loved writing as well. When I met her for the first time at in person 3 years ago, there was a woman next to me dressed as Lady Blackhawk, and just how she wrote that character instantly made people fall in love with that. Gail, as once again, one of the biggest strengths of Gail as a writer is taking characters that are people seeing like, oh yeah, that's a cool character. Yeah, it's cool, but it's not, I can't really get into it. She takes that character, whoever it is, and I said it before, makes them better than they are. And what she did with Birds of Prey made them better than what they are. She put them on a level now. She put the Birds of Prey, to me, on a level that's they're at that same level to me of the Outsiders, maybe even at better than the Outsiders. Almost on the same level. The premier team in DC is the Justice League. I say they're right there at Justice League. That's how good of a job Gail did. And it may sound like I'm praising her and just filling her head up and blowing up her bubble, but the fact is there are a lot of writers, there are a lot of readers, fellow Birds of Prey readers that read Gail's run and will say the same thing. She did such a good job with that series. Period. So thank you, Gail, for that. Thank you for giving the BOP more staying power. Number one on the list, and nobody should be surprised by this, is her Batgirl run. Yes, 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 yes. Gail's Batgirl run. First of all, Batgirl herself, Barbara Gordon, Babs, technically not the first Batgirl. Technically, she's the second Batgirl because there was a Batgirl before her, but that was pre-Crisis. Betty Kane, before she became, Flamebird. She was the first Batgirl. But of course, now Babs is technically the first. But what always made me love Batgirl, and I always felt that there was more to her than just being the woman who dresses up kind of like Batman and calls herself Batgirl, is the fact that I always felt she was more than meets the eye. Yes, she's always going to be looked at, oh, that's the commissioner's daughter. But I always felt there was more to her than that. And writers tried to do that, capture that. She's more than just the commissioner's daughter. She's more than just a side character of the Bat family. Gail comes along and takes her to the stratosphere. Gail comes along and shows just everything I just said about her and did more with her. When Gail was writing her, she was writing her during the New 52. Right, it was New 52. And basically, before Babs was back as Batgirl, because she was Oracle for a long time. Back in the Batgirl suit, it was Cassandra Cain, and of course, Stephanie Brown, which I like too. I like both of them as Batgirl. And then, of course, basically, Gail came along and put her back in the costume. But what made it stand out also is the fact that basically it implies that she did get shot by the Joker, was paralyzed and everything, but then she regained use of her legs again. But Gail took it to a point of where, and you can see me really like strategically doing this. Gail took it to the point, her run, where basically you look at Barbara now and say, in my opinion, when I was reading it, I'm like, she's now on that equal mask as Batman. The photographic memory, the detective skills that she learned, not just from Batman and not just being around her father a lot, but just she learned on herself, made her more than just the female version of Batman or something like that, or the story arc between her and her brother James Jr. That could have been the plot for her, a movie of her tracking down her psycho brother, her serial killer brother. I've said that, period. Like, that could be the synopsis of a Batgirl movie, of her taking, her tracking down her brother. The Nightfall, sign of her Nightfall like side stories, the amount of effort Gail put into, you could see throughout the whole series, you can see just how much Gail was loving writing this character. Now, Gail has written Barbara before. It's not like she hasn't, but you could see she took ample time. Every issue, she just was like, that was damn good. Like, she nails this character. And then, of course, when they did that Batgirl Future, where we saw Batgirl and other Batgirls from her, Cassandra Cain, I believe, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, and Tamara Fox, I believe. Yeah, it was Tiffany Fox, I believe. It was one of Lucius Fox's youngest daughter. Batgirls, like a team of Batgirls. You know, to me, they should have had a couple more on the team, but I honest to God, loved her run of Batgirl. It is, to this day, I have never picked up. I hold her Batgirl run so high. I have never really picked up read another full run of another Batgirl run. I tried to read her successor run when Barbara became like the Batgirl Brightville, or Brightview. When she was donning that purple, I didn't really like that look too much, but I told Gail, I was like, look, I don't think anybody will be able to match your run. And I was just being honest with her. I'm like, nobody match your run. And in my opinion, that's just how I felt. And, she's like, she told me, she's like, Chris, she was like, Christopher, give it a chance. I was like, and I said to her, tweeted, I was like, okay, I'll give it 8 issues. Like I usually do. If it's something if I don't like it, I'm dropping it. I gave it 8 issues and I was like, I can't, this doesn't feel right to me anymore. And I have never picked up another Batgirl run since. Never picked up another Batgirl since Gail's run. A full run. Read the whole run. I have not. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Now some people, he's just a big fan of Gail's and he's a fanboy of it. I don't lie. So it's like, that's like, well, Mark Waid's run was great. Top it. I'll never read Chip. I'm reading his run. So yeah, don't ever people's runs, but Gail's Batgirl run very high. Very high. Stephanie Brown, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl run for a while, but guys, end of the list. Those are 8 I have. If I guys, Gail, thank you for all these. I love you very much. I love you no matter you. When I'm old and gray, hopefully my future grandchildren, Gail Simone. Gail Simone. I will get very high. I don't have a lot of friends or family. I don't have a lot of comic writers, but I have and that rhymed. Thank you, Gail. But for every